Hey, what's up everyone? Over the past few years, gaming subscription services have been growing in size and popularity. Although this has its benefits, this model threatens to change the future of gaming and ownership. Owning the games you purchase, truly owning them, might become a thing of the past. To understand why, we have to look at how companies like Netflix and Spotify completely changed how we watch movies and listen to music. These are just two of the most recognizable examples of us as consumers becoming accustomed to the subscription model, the idea of renting everything. We get a wide variety of options for a monthly fee, but we never truly own anything. And soon it seems gaming will be next. Now, this isn't new exactly. The first example that comes to mind for me is Xbox Game Pass. Releasing in 2017, Xbox Game Pass didn't just have a few games. It started with over 100 titles. Some of the big ones you might know include Halo 5 Guardians, Terraria, NBA 2K16, Mad Max, and many more. Xbox wasn't the first to introduce us to a game subscription model, but it created a new modern standard for it. And now, more and more companies are testing the waters, and it's slowly eating away at our traditional relationship with ownership. This isn't just a small shift, it's changing everything about how we play. Services like PlayStation Plus, Nintendo Switch Online, Ubisoft Plus, and EA Play have followed with a similar model. On the surface, this all looks like a great deal for those who play those platforms. If I still played Xbox, I'd probably use the Game Pass honestly. But let's look at the numbers for a second. If you were to start adding up these services, the cost could get pretty crazy. Now, this is just an example because I know most people aren't going to use more than one of these services or maybe two. But if there was a game that you wanted to play that was exclusive to the subscription, you'd pretty much have to pay it. A scenario where you're forced to subscribe in order to play the game you want is very possible. Then there's the paradox of choice. If you own a lot of games or have multiple of these subscription services, you have access to hundreds if not thousands of games. But you're so overwhelmed, you end up not playing anything at all. It's the same as being on Netflix and not being able to find something to watch. You spend more time just scrolling through the library than you do actually playing anything. The real concern though is the loss of ownership. Let me give you a scenario. You're new to gaming, you saved up to buy an Xbox and maybe it took you a while. You've seen clips of Sea of Thieves and you really want to play it, but it's $40 in the live shop and you want to save money. So instead, you get Game Pass for $15, that way you get the game you want and you get a bunch of other games as a bonus. But what happens if Sea of Thieves leaves the service? It's just gone, you lose access to it. You'd have to then buy it in the shop at full price, assuming you're even able to. Sure, most games now are available on their own separately from the subscription service, but what happens when that's no longer the standard, and the only place to play a certain game is through a subscription? This issue is even starting to creep into traditional physical games. Let's take Nintendo for example. With the release of the Switch 2, the game cartridge you'd buy at a physical store like GameStop might no longer contain the actual game. It's a physical box, but the cartridge doesn't actually contain the game. Instead, you're just buying a license that requires a download, which not only presents ownership issues, but now an internet requirement to a model that was supposed to avoid them. The digital history of our hobby is now at the mercy of a company's business model. This isn't just a player problem either, it's a huge issue for the people who make our games. Because of the way that games are sold and monetized, there's immense pressure to become a content mill. Developers are forced to make games designed for constant retention. Think endless battle passes and seasonal grinds over deep, finished experiences. I highly doubt that the people who actually build our games, the ones who pour their long hours and endless passion into their craft, prefer to spend their time making battle passes and overpriced bundles. Their creative freedom gets swallowed up by the demand of an endless stream of content. And what about the indie studios? How do smaller teams even get noticed in a flood of hundreds of subscription titles? They get lost in the noise. It's an environment that favors big publishers and low-risk sequels because they have to guarantee consistent engagement in order to justify their spot on the service. This makes publishers way more risk-averse, which means we might not get as many of those fun, weird, experimental games. This subscription model is also creating a digital divide. It's making gaming less accessible for people with limited internet access or who can't afford a monthly fee. If a game is only on a service, a huge chunk of potential players are just locked out. And then there's the issue of historical preservation. Games can fade from public access as licenses expire or a service shuts down. We could lose part of our gaming history if we don't truly own the games. Ultimately, this whole thing could have a chilling effect on creativity. If the only games that get made are the ones that fit the all-you-can-play model, we'll lose groundbreaking experimental titles that challenge the norm. So the question is, where do we go from here? The answer isn't just to get rid of subscriptions. They're a great value. The solution is balance. We need to make sure we retain our options. We should always have the ability to buy a game on its own. Internet should not be required for games that don't have online multiplayer. And if you buy a physical game, you should actually get a real copy of the game, not some access code. But more importantly, our power as consumers has never been more vital. Our choices and our feedback can influence where this industry goes. We need to advocate for a future where gaming stays accessible, innovative, and sustainable for everyone. But what do you think? Are you worried about where all this is headed? Let me know your opinion in the comments. That's it for today, everyone. Have a good day. See you in the next one. Peace.